Hello, welcome to TnAmuscle with Big Tom and
Biggeral.
This is our video we did with Tania George. She's a British record holding powerlifter and wife of Paul George, who we've also interviewed.
Here are Tania's credentials. She's a WPC under 75 kilo Masters 1 world champion, current world champion. She's a British overall champion in the GPC. She's a British record holder. She's broken European records, and she's a 2 times overall champion at the Bodypower push-pull. Check the interview out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Check it out.
Peace out. This is where you really challenge me on this bicep shot here.
Being shit at bodybuilding.
Honestly.
So you've done a bodybuilding show?
I did a bodybuilding comp. It wasn't something that wasn't like me dream. I started training, found out that I like lifting weights, and then I thought, oh right, okay. A couple of people had asked me to help them get ready for competitions with diets and stuff, and then I thought, well, I better give this shit a go, really. So I had a go at it. It was interesting. I came second out of 1. It was probably the best thing that happened, to be fair. It was just, as it was running into the competition and I was training and stuff like that, I hated the fact that I couldn't lift big weights. That I just felt really weak and it was horrible. And it was a friend of mine, Emma James, who's an awesome bench presser. She'd always said to me, you should do powerlifting, you're strong, you should do powerlifting. And it was probably about 6 weeks before the comp one, and I said, when this is done and dusted, I think I'll have a bash at powerlifting. I'll have a go at it. So I did my competition in the bodybuilding in September 2010. I had not some time off, but just kind of like let my body recover a little bit. Then started. In fact, Emma said, right, you're doing a competition in February. So I started training for that in December, and I did my first powerlifting comp in February 2011. And as soon as I did it, I was like, first squat, this is what I want to do. And just haven't looked back. So thank you very much, UK BFF judges, because I'm now really fucking good at what I do. So the computer's gone off. Oh,
it's still on, don't worry. So with powerlifting, you said the first squat. Is there a big adrenaline rush when you're competing in powerlifting?
Totally. Completely and utterly. It's all an adrenaline rush. It's massive. To the point where you get quite big adrenal shutdown right at the end. Because you've got the 3 lifts. For those who don't know, it's powerlifting, you squat, then you bench press, and then you deadlift. And you have 3 attempts at each lift. And just warming up, because you have to warm up on each one. And for your first lift is your squat, which is quite, you want to make sure that you get that one in, but the adrenaline, so you're just up and down over the whole day. The adrenaline goes up. By the time you get to deadlift, you have to kind of say, I'm not going to say falsify an adrenaline rush, but it doesn't come as automatic. You're like, okay, we're doing that again. So by the time you get round to deadlift, which is the last lift, you do see people psyching themselves up a lot more for it, because it's almost like having to falsely induce it, because your adrenaline just kind of, been here, done that. So I think it's a 165 squat, 135 deadlift, and a 200. No, sorry, a 135 bench and a 200 deadlift. My raw best lifts are 155 squat, no, raw is with knee reps, 155 squat, a 110 bench, and a 197.5 deadlift.
So where did you come from? What did you start?
Alright, okay, I remember doing some training here with Emma, I think that must have been in 2010.
When we did the first women's seminar.
The first or the second women's. It was one of the women's seminar, and we were doing some benching, and I remember being super chuffed that I got 2 reps out at 75 kilos.
So you've put 40 kilos on your bench press?
On the raw bench in 3 years, yeah.
Most guys would
So
be really
that's-
happy if they could
that's,
put a plate aside on.
Plus 50%, that's about a 57% increase.
Wow.
Squat, I remember there's a squat video up of Danny spotting me, and I think I was doing some really bad. I think it was about 120. Yeah, it must have been about a 120 squat, but it was really bad. Look at it now. And deadlifting, I remember I remember getting to 3 plates aside. I remember getting to 140 and thinking, fucking hell, I've arrived. I do remember that.
And since then you've put 60 kilos on, haven't you?
Yeah.
So how do you feel weight training can improve a woman's look if they're not into competing? Do you think it's something?
Do you know, I'm not too sure whether it's just about how they look, because how you look and how you feel about yourself can be 2 completely different things. So if you take sort of like bodybuilding, you'll have girls and you just think, fucking hell, you look so hot. Whereas they'll look in the mirror and they'll see something completely different. So how you actually look and how you feel about yourself. We all know there are big girls out there that walk around with super confidence because they feel so good about themselves, and you kind of think, yeah, whatever it is, you've got it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way they look, it's how they feel about themselves. I think that lifting heavy weights can change your attitude to how you approach different things. And when we're talking heavy, it's when you stand up and you get under a bar and it's heavy, and because the first place you feel it's on your back, you think this fucker's going to bury me. But you have to commit to it, and you have to do it, even though I hate squatting. It fucking scares the bejesus out of me. But when you get in there, you have to commit to it. Otherwise, you ain't coming back up. Now, if you can transfer that over to other things that you do, your whole life will change. And that sounds really, really melodramatic, but I've seen it in here with people who don't, if you look at them, they're not lifting heavy weights, but for them, it's a massive achievement. People change their jobs. They get out of shitty relationships, that all of a sudden something happens, and it's not because of the way they look, but it's how they feel about themselves and how they realise that something that they thought they could never do, if they put their mind to it, they can do it. So that's how I think it majorly changes them. And then, to be fair, a lot of the time with women, we've got women coming in whose main focus is losing weight. And they've been doing it for so long, trying to lose weight all the time, and they come in and go, I tell you what, let's just change it around a bit, and they've stagnated or whatever. Let's just change it. Why don't we focus on getting strong? So you do that automatic switch, and because they forget about standing on the scales and doing the Weight Watchers and other Slimming World clubs are available, they forget about standing on the scales and losing weight, and they focus on something else. Everything changes, the whole body changes just as a byproduct of it.
True.
So
I'd say fuck off to a changing. We're in the business of big and strong.
okay, so what if?
So what would I do? So first of all, the first thing that we say to it's not weight training that makes you big, it's cupcakes. Okay, eating shit makes you big. Okay, that's the way it is. The first thing that we do with women when they come in here is ban them from running. Banned. Not allowed to, unless they're pushing something, pulling something, carrying something, or sprinting for no longer than 15 seconds up an incline. They are not allowed to run. We're not sciencey. Me and Paul aren't sciencey. We're not going to get into the internet. There are people out there who explain this stuff far better than we do. Okay, so you want the science to back it all up. It's out there, and if you choose to ignore it, then that's great. But don't then come in and say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. If you're going to ignore the science, then that's great. I'm not going to give it to you in minute detail. This is what we do and this is what works. If you like what we do, then you stay. If you want to carry on running your saggy ass off, then go somewhere else and do it. I did the WPC Worlds in Vegas in November. I've done a GPC qualifier in February?
Yeah.
Must have been February, and then I did Bodypower push-pull in May.
And how did you do at those 3 competitions?
I did better than anticipated at the Worlds. However, I lifted less than I anticipated at the Worlds. But it was a really, really good competition, and I won Masters. What am I, Masters 1?
Yeah.
Masters 1, 75 kilo and under equipped. Had some really, really good competition from a lady from Texas called Amanda Duval, who is incredible. But I was just, I suppose, a bit luckier on the day, really.
She gambled and lost.
Yeah.
In Vegas, it's all about gambling.
Yeah, it was. We were pretty. She's a far better squatter than I am. I'm a better deadlifter than she is, but on paper we're about even Stevens on the bench press. She obliterated me on squats. I did really bad. She opened a lot higher on the bench press because I think, not reading too much into it, but I was checking her lifts out. I'm going to presume that she checked mine out because you're in the same class, it's what you do. And she opened higher, and unfortunately she bombed out on the bench, and that was probably one of the worst feelings I've ever had. Looking and knowing that if she bombed, I was going to win. But I don't want her to bomb, so I couldn't watch a lift. That was on a third bench press. Unfortunately, she didn't get it, and when she didn't get it, there were a couple of others in the class, but they weren't close. So we went out, and all I had to do was put one deadlift in. But it was hard. Vegas was tough.
Big learning curve, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Time
massive learning curve. Even though we took jet lag into account, and we hadn't taken it enough into account. We got there 4 days earlier.
Three,
we weighed in on the 4th day. But we probably needed about a week beforehand. I think we've now since found out that for every time zone you cross, you need,
it's a day going east and a day and a half going west.
Yeah, a day going east and a day and a half going west. For your body to recover and for your blood sugar levels to... And that affects the way that you perform. If you go into something like that, you're going up and you're going to peak at a specific time, and that's it. It's one shot or you're out.